then eventually, we kind of made the decision to go ahead and shoot it, and off we went.
Okay, thanks. So I'm obviously getting into it, so I just got to make sure I'm at these. I want to put this in the correct way. Um, do you think this will be a controversial film to those audiences once it starts getting out there in its release?
There's definitely a lot of controversial topics that are broached, and it's a provocative film, so I definitely hope to have people talking about it and thinking about it and discussing the issues that are brought up. But I think ultimately people, I think our audience is second, third generation South Asians, and not just South Asians, kind of second, third generation immigrants, because arranged marriages, they're not unique to South Asia. They're kind of a broad swath of the world practices them. So I think they'll understand the film. Film is a satire. That's the key. The film is a satire on the perception of arranged marriages. So people who understand that will appreciate the humor of it. But beyond that, there's definitely, it's presented in a provocative manner. So I think it definitely brings up a lot of things for people to discuss and disagree. Some people will have one opinion on it, other people have another opinion on it, and I think that's healthy. That's sort of like I made a conscious effort not to spoon feed the audience or to kind of hold their hand and say, I want you to feel this, or this person good, this person bad. It was sort of like, this is the story, and this is how it plays out. How you feel about it is really depends on your worldview, where you're coming from. And like, five different people with five different worldviews can have five different opinions, and they're all equally valid as far as I'm concerned. If you can support it with, with your thoughts.
Okay, thank you. So, Megha, what tell me what you thought about Camila, sort of maybe at the beginning of the process and then sort of afterwards, with you looking back.
Well, looking at Kamali's character from the beginning, I was initially drawn to her because of similarities that I think we both face. Although I've never experienced arranged marriage in my personal life, it's not something my parents have ever spoken to me about. Although who knows, maybe one day. I do understand her kind of this tension that exists in her life between having to, wanting to, and needing to please her parents, and then also trying to live her own life, be it with her friends, her lovers, her schoolmates, etc. So that's what initially drew me to her. And then as I was working on her, I just fell in love more and more with her. And then also an empathy grew for women like her, who I've grown up with, whom I know, who specifically face this, notion of arranged marriage. And then, of course, the whole movie was just a lot of fun to shoot because it is told from a perspective of satire. And so these are things that I knew and existed, but it was spoken about and done in a way through dark comedy. So that for me was kind of where I'm at right now with the whole process and Kamali's character.
Okay. Thank you. So obviously, yes, it is a film that is about arranged marriage. But I think beyond that, I think it's the sort of I think the biggest thing is probably the patriarchal overtones, because it isn't just an arranged marriage. It's an arranged marriage that she walks into on the day of a friend's funeral, which she clearly knew nothing about and had no inklings that it was about. So I'm interested about that, because I feel like after watching the movie and seeing the interactions between Cammy and the father, I sort of wonder how this hasn't already blown up. I wonder how sort of something hasn't already happened, maybe sort of at the beginning of high school when Cammy discovered boys. It just seems like it seems very late for that reckoning to have happened, at least for me, and that's obviously me coming from my own taking it from my own experience. I just wondered if you had anything to say, think of that.
Well, I think, like I said, it's when you're looking at it from a satirical perspective, then you sort of, well, two things. One is, there's sort of two things. Sort of the one thing that South Asian parents, they value above almost everything is education. So sort of like it's like education is allowed, and then you do that. So that sort of like within the satirical world, and then again, an extreme exaggeration, it'd be like, okay, she finishes school, and then it's time for her to get married. Whereas I see your point in the sense that like, oh, well, why wasn't she just married off, when she was a teenager or something? But like I said, their view is, education is ultra important, and then you get married.
Okay, so I just to clarify, I wasn't necessarily suggesting they would, as though something would happen, is that disappear her for a summer, and then when she come back, we would always bad. It was more. I think it was more. I was surprised that as outgoing, so Westlife as Cammy is. I'm surprised they have that, that they haven't discovered like a boyfriend earlier than now, because obviously if you watch the film, they seem to be running an amazing sort of information gathering on Cammy, from straight from the library and all through all aspects of that. They sort of keep relatively good tabs on. So I was surprised that this is when the inciting incidents sort of happens. But I can understand you are making a point. Obviously, it's satire, and it works well this way. Okay, so obviously, question for Noob. Obviously, looking into your background, what I can see is obviously I see that obviously you started the company and so you've gone on to direct this feature. Looking at Southeast Asian culture, do you think do you see more examples of films that is coming out? I mean, we've recently had Doggy Head, which we've reviewed here, which directed starring Agabdashi. We have I know this film 7 Days, which is filmed in LA, which is about arranged marriage with a COVID theme, which came out, or I don't know if it's come out yet. It was in the film festivals that we covered. So, do you see more Asian voices and first generation, second generation stories being told now?
Yes, definitely. I've noticed that even just in kind of preparing for the release of this, like you said, Donkey Head, and there's a few others. So there's definitely an increase, which I think is very welcome. And we're seeing sort of an explosion of content from second, third generation voices, and I think that's wonderful. You kind of want to have, in the past, there's some very good South Asian movies that were kind of from the second generation perspective. They were kind of blowing the lines, but they were never like I said, they sort of there's always been that, like, the feel good ethnic film, and then the cautionary ethnic. I keep coming back to that. There's always been, like, there tends to be, it's either that feel good ethnic, everything's all hunky dory, or then there's the cautionary, like, oh, look, this culture, look, you better, there's so many things to be concerned about in this culture. So there's never, the perspective this film is coming at is sort of poking fun. It's a satirical take on those two kind of broad types of films, the feel-good ethnic, the cautionary ethnic. So, but I think it's great. The more perspectives you have, this is one perspective on South Asian films, and then other filmmakers have their own perspectives. And I think, the more perspectives we have, the better it is.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so a question for Megha. You're at the beginning of your acting career. So tell us at this point, for any other prospective actors out there, what's the best piece of advice you've been given so far?
To
as regarding acting.
Yeah, well, I've received a lot of advice, but I think the best piece of advice I received was from my mentor, which was to tell the truth as much as you can, be it in your art or in real life, because I think that's what people resonate with. And not only will it help the actor, the artist, um, but it also helps those around that you're either working with or collaborating with. And it's a very simple thing, but it makes a very big difference. And that's probably the advice I give. Obviously, work hard and try and be happy. But I think ultimately, what it boils down to is, are you telling the truth in life? And yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so another question for Anoop is so if I was as I was watching along and trying to make sure I was paying as much attention, there was obviously a lot of things that were coming up which were new to me. Obviously, I have understandings generally around the idea of arranged marriages, but I sort of see that at no point did the family speak about where they're from, and I feel like was it a deliberate decision to keep them as general as possible, not make them specific to any area or country?
Definitely. I didn't want to. Well, if people know the Punjabi because
Yeah.
they speak Punjabi, but beyond that, I definitely did not want to make any reference to their religion or even the country. It was sort of like I said, it's more a Punjabi culture. The culture is Punjabi, but beyond that, I didn't want to specify because anytime you start getting into religion, then the satire kind of I don't really find the benefit of it. The negatives outweigh the positives, in my opinion.
Okay. Okay. So I think the other sort of question I have is, so what inspired that opening? Because I watched it and I was just for a moment I was just what? No, no, no. He's messed. Oh dear, he isn't messing with her. And and it's I just like that moment of like throughout the film, there always seems to be someone who's not really operating in reality. So it feels like directly after the first murder, um, the boyfriend is just I don't know where he is, but he isn't someone who has just come back from a funeral, and he's sort of getting way too frisky with Camila, and it's just a very strange sort of alien sort of thing. And obviously, I think maybe that tells the audience, yeah, this guy is right. This guy is right.
Mm.
But I think we later see it sort of turn around where we see um, outside the club where he's quite
Mm.
where he is well where he is losing his mind. Understandably, obviously, then it takes it into a place of hate. But then
Mm.
Megan, who has been up to that point, has been telling him it's dangerous and saying you should come to the house, and now she's sort of switched around. I just wonder that is it. It seems to be a deliberate choice. Then it seems to keep on going from there. And then it becomes with one of your friends who just sort of you see that at each point people keep checking out, and it's even when
Mm.
and I think and I sort of it sort of made it to me where we have Cammy calls the cops when her boss is discovered, and the police come, and it sort of hit me is that okay, this is America, and this brown woman is reporting the second murder in the space of maybe a couple of weeks, and everyone's being way too calm about this, and the police just really barely even acknowledging her existence, and I looked at it and went, yeah, that seems a bit strange to me, maybe because maybe that's the sort of films and stuff I watch. Maybe I watch too much news, but it just caught me. It just made me stop and think. I don't know if you have
Mm.
anything say on that. It's just an observation um, as I was making my way through the film.
Yeah, it was. What did you just say before that? I had something to say.
Um,
Oh yes, about yes. You were mentioning about Clive.
yeah,
Um, Clive, the boyfriend, and he There's also like a you know, like a theme, which again, this is why it's a satirical take, but there's kind of like one of the themes of the film is like, you know, the people are tribalistic in nature, and you know, Kamali starts off, you know, they all start off in they may think they were in different tribes, and then they slowly return to their tribe.
Mm.
And there's definitely that underlying theme going throughout the movie, which is again, that's why I think it plays well as a satire, because there's definitely some cynical and cynical themes in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, well, just getting the sort of wrap up. So I just want to say that thank you very much for taking this time out. Thank you for making the film. It's definitely made me think about a lot of things and I've definitely sort of revisited my thoughts and ideas coming from this film. So I thank you for that. And I think the audience will as well.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for taking the time to chat.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.